Most people don't do this, but I take a huge portion of the money that I make. Maybe you can only afford to do a small portion, but either way, and I buy Bitcoin every time I get paid. It doesn't matter. I have a weekly buy set up, but also when I get a big check, I buy Bitcoin. And I've been doing that for years. 10 years, something like that, since it was like $3,000. And for the first time, I've never thought about this before, but I'm going to be cutting how much I'm buying in Bitcoin in half. And the difference is going to be going to XRP. Remember, I told you guys, going into 2030 and 2035, the ISO narrative, it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get more legitimized. You're going to see a lot of these projects get ETFs, which will allow institutional capital to flow in alongside 401ks, IRAs, and eventually insurance companies will be making an index of the ISO tokens because they're going to take over the SWIFT banking system. And it's probably overplayed in your head, and you're not going to hear me say taking over the SWIFT banking system all the time, but it's true. It's inevitable that everybody gets a competitor someday. SWIFT has never really had one that they had to really worry about. There was copycats, but they could never do it the same way. They didn't have the deals. They didn't have the backdoor deals with the politicians. Brad Garlinghouse, he has, and he's continuing to do it today. So a friend of mine, I'd probably call him a mentor at this point. It's funny how we met though, you wouldn't think. But he says, check out this XRPL, and he shows me a couple of projects on there. And I look at the design, I look at how it just looks a little bit behind. And I thought to myself, uh-oh, is that a bad thing that they're behind in tech? That the XRPL ledger is behind in growth? It doesn't have hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of liquidity on it. It has, I mean, there's other networks that are just so far ahead. But then I thought to myself, it doesn't always have to be the first mover advantage. And there's going to be a place for a lot of these cryptocurrencies, way more than you think. Just like there was a place for Apple and Microsoft and Dell and a few other computer companies that are still here today. And I'm sure that some will become bigger than others, and we'll find out who they are. Is it Solana? Is it a sleeper like Cardano or Internet Computer? Maybe it's XRP and XRPL. Maybe it's all going to be built on Ethereum, and you'll have stragglers. But I think there's enough money in the world and enough room for innovation and growth, especially with the advancements of artificial intelligence, for many systems to succeed for the next 10 years. And then we really look at them and say, okay, which ones are we going to need to use? Which ones are the safest? Which ones give us the most freedom? Which ones give us the most value? Which ones give us the most yield, safety? I think XRP itself is going to become too big to fail. Same with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Internet Computer, Chainlink. There's probably a handful of others. They're going to become too big to fail. And people are missing this. We're so fucking early.